Welcome to today's webinar, E-commerce 101, Setting Up, Managing, and Marketing Online Shopping. I'm your moderator, Jenny Alton, from the New York Small Business Development Center Central Office. Today's presenter is Erik Bunaes, President of Endorphin Digital Marketing. This webinar is brought to you by the New York Small Business Development Center, a network of 20 campus-based centers and outreach offices which are located across New York State, along with a central office based in Albany. The NYSBDC is a U.S. Small Business Administration resource partner. Our free advising, education, research, and advocacy services are made possible by funding from the SBA, New York State, and our host campuses. So you know, this session is being recorded. We will share it with attendees in a few days, along with a PDF of resources from the presentation. Attendees are muted and will not be on camera. Your chats will only be visible to me and our presenter today. If you have any questions during the presentation, please don't hesitate to type them in the Q&A box as they come up. You can open Zoom's Q&A box from the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. We will hold most questions until the end of Erik's presentation to ensure he can get through all of his materials today. We'll answer as many questions as we have time for, but for very specific questions that may take more time and detail to answer, or if we run out of time to answer all questions, you can get in touch with Erik through the contact information he will share during his presentation. You can also reply to the follow-up email you will receive to get further assistance. And with that, I will turn the time over to Erik.
Thank you very much, Jenny, and thank you to the SBDC, and thank you everybody for coming today on this rainy Monday if you're in upstate New York. So a little bit quickly, just introduction-wise. So as Jenny said, I'm the president and owner of a company called Endorphin Digital Marketing, where we do this digital marketing stuff every day. And we've done it for over 15 years now. I'll tell you a little bit more about the company in a second. I'm also a professional trainer for Constant Contact. And I am also an adjunct professor of marketing at the College of St. Rose here in Albany. There's my contact information. If you have any questions about the contents of today's webinar, or if you need any help with any of this kind of stuff, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions or give any additional resources, or if you need help, we're happy to do that. A little bit about our firm. So our firm is a marketing company, and so we focus on working with companies and nonprofit organizations and sort of help them develop strategies to identify, define, and identify their target customers, identify their needs, their preferences, and how to generate more demand from these customers. So leads and sales and that kind of thing. And then all the services we provide are digitally provided. So we do website design, we do a lot of digital advertising, we do a lot of search engine optimization, we do local SEO, we do the demand generation strategies, all that sort of stuff. And again, like I said, we started the company back in 2005, so we've been doing this for a long time. So then just if you're not familiar with Constant Contact, they are sort of providing they're kind of sponsoring this, I guess you'd say. They're an email marketing company, which is very, very important to any business. They also provide automated email marketing tools, which again are very important, as well as social media posting and management, surveys, event marketing, ads, and all e-commerce stuff. And they now have AI-powered content. So AI is the new latest and greatest thing in marketing, and so Constant Contact and other companies are taking advantage of that, and that's something to keep aware of. If you want to try Constant Contact or get a demo or anything like that, or have questions, again, feel free to contact our team. So what are we going to talk about today? We've got a lot to talk about. This, I think, is a good webinar because we go into a pretty wide range of topics here in terms of e-commerce. And so, you know, when we think of e-commerce, we think of both, selling products online, but also selling services online, and just making your business, whatever it is, more e-business friendly, meaning we want to help our customers, again, in whatever business we are, do more of what they need to do or want to do more of it online. But then obviously e-commerce is talking about doing transactions. So we'll talk about some of the popular e-commerce platforms and sort of how those work and sort of the advantages and disadvantages of each of these. And then we'll talk about some critical elements to selling online. There's so many e-commerce businesses now that, and basically every business is in e-commerce now, that you can't just set up a store and make $1 million. It just doesn't work that way anymore because there's so much competition. So we'll talk about sort of how selling online really works, and we'll kind of give you a process a little bit for that. Okay, so that's sort of what we're going to talk about today. Hopefully that makes sense. Mobile e-commerce sales are gigantic, right? So many businesses are, especially kind of local businesses, really should focus very much on mobile visitors. So some people are going to access your website and your services or products by a desktop, or maybe even a smart TV or a iPad or something like that. But many of them are going to use their phone, and so there's a lot of stuff to know about that, and about making sure that your store will operate well in that kind of environment. So the other thing to understand now is that regular communications to our customers are sort of not enough. And so now we've got to sort of personalize the customer experience and engage with our customers and thank them right away. And so here we get into AI, but also automated emails, automated messaging, customized messaging, things like that. And so shoppers now sort of demand and expect that kind of customization. And so there's a lot that needs to be done. Again, just in the old days, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, if you had an online store, that was great. And people would be happy with that. But today that's just not enough. We've got to move closer to the customer. We've got to speak almost one-to-one with all our customers. And think about what you see as a customer of other organizations. For instance, Amazon and Walmart and these kinds of companies. When you get an email from them, it's addressed to you. It's got your information about, hey, here's what you just bought. Here's when it's gonna arrive if it's being shipped, or here's where you can go pick it up. And if you want to return it, you can do that right there. So all of this stuff is really important. And, again, setting up the store is sort of the easy part. The part of e-commerce that is a challenge is getting getting customers to find you and remember you and know what you do and to make purchases. So, what we really want to do is we want to get customers talking about us, and this is going to help how you are going to get people to know who you are, to remember you, to buy from you. And a lot of this stuff is going to come from our stories, our stories about our customers, right? Testimonials, reviews, videos, contests, influencers, well-known people, things like that. And this is very, very important. And if you really want to be, especially in e-commerce, a products e-commerce business like a clothing or fashion or jewelry or lifestyle, things like that, this is really what you got to do. And it's not necessarily that much harder, but we just have to work more closely with our customers. And that's kind of what they're demanding, and kind of how they are looking at the companies that they really like. So this is something to sort of understand. But if you've ever taken a class from me, or if you maybe took one of the previous classes in our series here with the SBDC, you heard that the companies that know their customers best are the ones that succeed. And so moving as close to your customers as possible in terms of speaking with them, getting them involved in the process, getting them to write reviews and testimonials and things like that, and learning what they like and don't like in terms of what you're selling, whether it's your clothing, maybe it's how the cut of the clothing, the materials, the whatever it is. Everybody's tastes and needs are changing and evolving rapidly, and obviously competition is evolving rapidly. So that's kind of what you're getting into if you're going to do e-commerce. And to be able to do this, we need data, right? And that's part of the part of digital marketing that I really like is, all these tools can, result or collect good data from the behavior of our customers, from their actions, from their preferences. We can see what they respond to. We can see how they behave online, what they like, what they don't like. We can see that in the data. And so, whether it's Google Analytics data or reactions to customer surveys, or in their reviews, or purchase behavior, we can find out so much from looking at this data. And this is where a lot of people that are too much focused on their own business are sort of, this is what they're missing, right? If you're constantly focusing on what you produce and running your business, then you're going to lose sight of your customer relationships and what they want and their preferences and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so it's this data that's truly valuable, and it's also it tells you what you need to know if you kind of know what to look for, right? And if you're keeping an eye on this. So the other thing with this idea of customer data and customer relationships is, if you are selling directly online, so if you have your own e-commerce store, then you have this data, right? But if you only sell via other retailers or other sellers like Amazon or other big stores or other distributors or things, you likely won't get as much good data as you could if you sold directly. And so it's going to be harder to listen to the customer, to hear the customer, to see what they want, to watch their behavior. It's just going to be harder. And so you're going to have a harder time staying close to what they need and want. And that's going to make you less competitive. Okay. So these are really important things to understand. And then now let's talk about some of the things that you can do and that you should think about. So the first thing, and again, we are going to talk about sort of the specific stores and that sort of stuff, but thinking about sort of how you find your customers, how you get found by your customers. Think about keywords, right? Keywords are so very important today because people are going on search engines and they're searching for things, right? Especially if they're going to buy it digitally, if they're going to buy online and get something shipped to them, they may go to your brand store, or they may just go to a search engine or something and type in, hey, I'm looking for, red rubber boots, right? Or something like that. Or, I'm looking for to take a trip to, the Grand Canyon, whatever it is. And so keywords are going to be really effective. And so understanding kind of how keywords work, how to research keywords, and how to use keywords is really important, right? And so if you go on tools like specifically the Google Keyword Planner, there's a couple of other tools you might have access to that are a little more costly, like SEMrush or Moz, and you can put in, red rubber boots and see kind of the number of actual searches and how competitive those searches are for that term. So we want to find out, we don't want to go in and say, well, I know what my customers are going to search for to find us, or well, it doesn't really, worse would be, I don't really care what they're going to search for, right, to find us. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to go, okay, let's go on to Google Keyword Planner and let's type in, red rubber boots, right, and see how many searches actually are done on Google over the last, per month, and then also the variations of that particular term. So maybe there's like durable red rubber boots, or inexpensive or cheap red rubber boots, or whatever it is, some alternatives to those keywords. And then you can see, are people searching for that specific term, or is it some variation of that? And again, we're looking for keywords that have a reasonable amount of searches, so has enough searches to be worthwhile to pursue, but also a sort of keyword or competition rating that says it's not that competitive. So medium to low competition score. So meaning, you're not competing against Amazon and Walmart and all these giant companies that are going after this term, but you're competing for more specialized and niche terms that where there is less competition. So that with the terms that have less competition, you are going to have a more likely success in terms of competing to rank highly for those keywords. Okay, so this is really important for basically all your marketing. You really need to understand this is what are my customers searching for specifically, that where I want to be found. And so you need to build your keyword list and keep that and know how to use that. So you can use that in terms of hashtags on social media. You can use that as your SEO tools on your website, and you can use this in your advertising. Okay, so it's going to improve your advertising. It's going to improve your getting your website found, and it's going to improve your social media marketing. So the idea of these keywords is absolutely critical, and having a list of keywords that you are focusing on is critical. So this is really kind of the first step to any marketing, digital marketing, is understanding this and how your customers search for you. Okay. So important stuff. So how do we set up a store? Okay, well, here's kind of a rough process, right? So we got to figure out, we got to make or source a product, right? Obviously, we need something to sell. And our product could be a service, right? It could be, you know, if we sell payroll services, or we're an accountant or an insurance broker or a consultant or whatever we are, designer, you know, we're going to have some sort of product, something we're going to sell. We want to build our brand, right? So we want to get people to know who we are. And there's lots of different strategies to do this, right? And we got to figure out our digital platform, right? So how do people actually access us and buy from us, right? So website, mobile web, you know, mobile friendly website, e-commerce platform, all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to, you know, sell directly to our customers. And then we're going to maintain control over this sort of whole process. Again, if we're going to sell directly to customers. And then if we're going to do it this way, we're going to get 100% of the gross margin, meaning how much we make on selling a product. You know, if you're selling it on Amazon or any other, or Etsy or any other platform, you're not getting 100% of the gross margin, right? Because so if you make a product for $10, you sell it for $20, that gross margin is $10. But if you're selling on Amazon or through Etsy or some other platform that's not yours, you're not getting that whole $10 of gross margin, because you have to pay Amazon or whoever a portion of that, right? It could be, you know, 25 or 50% of it. And, you know, so you see your margins go way down, but it's a little easier, maybe not. So anyway, if we're going to go our own way and not sell through Amazon or whatever, here's a sort of a process, like a 10-step process here to help you figure that out, figure out how to do it and what you have to do. So again, first thing, we, you know, after getting our product, whatever we're going to sell, you know, we've got a platform, right? A website and an e-commerce system. And so I will show you two different alternatives and how they're different towards the end of this. So we'll be talking about Wix and Shopify and which is better in which situation and what are the pros and cons of those. So we will talk about those in a few minutes. So we want to figure out which one of these we're going to use. We want to develop our, you know, our store, our online store. and, use a custom domain with our specific business name, our brand name kind of thing, and sort of put that together. And, this is really important to get that brand name right, and to then sort of make sure that you're not infringing on other people's business name or brand name. You have something unique, something useful, all that kind of thing. So setting up an online store is not that hard, really. Well, for sure if I should say that, because there's a lot to it. But we want to make sure first that we've got sort of the descriptions of the product itself, really good high resolution photographs of the products, the description, maybe the alternatives, are there like different sizes or colors or options for your product or service. We've got to sort of get all that information together for each product or service so that it's easy to understand, easy to build in our store. We want to obviously do keyword research again to understand, how do our customers refer to these kinds of products or services? And, especially for services, but even for products too, is remember that, if you're in a particular industry, you may use industry terms that customers don't necessarily use. And so you have to be very careful about not using terms that your customers don't use, right? If you refer to your products or service by acronyms or, whatever that customers may or may not be familiar with, then it's going to be hard for them to find it online. So kind of naming and using the keyword research of your products and services is really important, right? Again, understand your customers and know how they are going to search for your products and services. Obviously, then we want to sort of get social media going. So depending on what kind of product or service you sell, you might, that'll sort of drive which of the platforms you may want to use. So, may want to be, depending, Instagram, TikTok is hot now, Etsy or things like that, maybe LinkedIn, maybe YouTube, whatever. There's so many channels out there, and you've got to sort of pick the right place to, kind of focus your efforts. Remember, the good thing about e-commerce is that, your stores are open 24/7, right? Pretty much. So, that's both good and bad, right? Because people might expect to, for example, have customer service available 24/7, right? And that may be a challenge. So, again, there's pluses and minuses in using e-commerce, right? And just live with anything, right? So you just need to sort of make an intentional plan of how you're going to operate and serve your customers. Online sales, obviously we need a payment processor. So this is something that we need to set up, as soon as we set up our business and know we're going to start selling things, we need to find a payment processor, get hooked up with them, figure out, the e-commerce or even the retail payment platform and how that's going to operate. How are you going to take money? How are you going to account for the money and the receipts? How are you going to process returns? All that kind of stuff. You've got to think about that. And some of this, again, if you're selling a product and you're going to ship it, you got to think about return shipments, right? Refunds, all that sort of stuff. And, people expect that to be automatic and automated. So, that's something you need to think about. If you are selling products and sometimes services, you need to think about shipping and or sales tax. So these are very, very important. And so, you've got to sort of, again, get through this and think about how are we going to handle shipping? How are we going to pay for the cost of that? Are we laying off the cost of the shipping to our customers? Are we going to say, any orders over X number of dollars, you get free shipping, all that. And then the question of, do you need to collect sales tax? And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. If you're a nonprofit, right, you still may be selling things, but you may or may not be a tax exempt nonprofit, right? So again, these are all things you kind of got to think about when you're getting into e-commerce and figuring out, how we going to operate, how we're going to serve our customers. Next, obviously, social media. Social media for most people is going to be one of the primary ways they market their businesses. So you've got to figure out, which social media platform we're going to be on. How are we going to sort of let people sell or buy things from our, online from social media, all that stuff. And so we've got to sort of figure out all of that. And then, we've got to figure out our marketing and communication strategy. How are we going to generate a following, generate sales using social media? So how are we going to produce content? How frequently are we going to do social posts? How are we going to monitor what people say on social media and respond when necessary? All of these kinds of things. Okay, really important. This bottom bullet here is, what are you going to offer to get new customers to try your products or services for the first time? So especially if you're a small or new business that does not have a brand name, people are going to see your products and services and go, okay, I kind of want that, but who the heck is this company? Do I feel comfortable giving them my money and getting a product that may or may not be as good as it says? So new businesses and small businesses have to overcome this. And here's where you can provide offers, buy one, get one free, or, here's a free trial of our product, or, things like that, guaranteed, free return, refund, get your money back. You're going to have to do some sort of offers like this to start generating demand and to get your products and services out into the real world. So you have to figure out, how can you get new customers to try your products or services for the first time? Equally important is if you are already in business and then you offer a new product or service that's different from what you have been selling, you kind of got to do the same thing, right? Is we got to get our customers to try something different, right? And it's the same kind of process, right? They're going to be reluctant to try a new product. They may already have some sort of provider that offers what you are trying to offer. So how do you get them to try yours instead of what they're already using? So again, you got to think about that. We need social proof. We need people, reviews and testimonials and all that sort of stuff. We need to, give people a chance to try our products or services at no risk or little risk, that kind of thing. So really, really, really important to think about. Again, if you just launch a website and say, hey, we're selling whatever we're selling, you're not going to get very far unless it's truly unique or there's, great special offers kind of thing. So it's you really got to kind of think that through. One really good way to expand your reach and to get people talking about your product and service and learning about it is to use influencer marketing. Right? There's lots of marketers out there that use this. This is a huge industry at this point. As you can see from the stats on the right here, it says more than 2/3 of marketers use some form of influencer marketing, right? So that's kind of an older stat because then it says that's expected to increase to 72% by 2022. So that was last year. So maybe it's even higher. Maybe it's 3/4 of all marketers are using influencer marketing. So, again, especially for products or services that are sold to the consumer, clothing, household goods, fashion, that sort of stuff, you almost have to use an influencer, right? And so, this is very important. And so, if this is what you're doing, think about influencer marketing. Think about how you're going to do this. Loyalty programs, right? Very, very helpful. So here's 3 questions, sort of why do when do loyalty programs succeed, right? It's when they're easy to use. It's when they get great discounts or give great discounts, and they're easy to understand, right? People, there's so many loyalty programs out there that if you try and, make it difficult for people to redeem their credit or discount or whatever, or hard to get to it, or, just difficult to use or understand, it's just not going to work for you. So, make it easy to use and give people some real benefit for buying with you, and they may come back. Okay, so think about loyalty programs. They definitely work. SEO, search engine optimization, again, very, very important. Using your keywords on your website in the appropriate way. It makes a big difference today in terms of drawing more traffic from search engines. And again, the keywords even help improve your advertising. So keywords are super important, and SEO is very important. SEO, remember, if you do a whole SEO project and implement everything today, you're not going to get the full benefit of all of those changes for several months, as much as 6 months, until you really, until people start seeing you, until Google starts, trying to send people to your website and then measuring that behavior. It just takes some time for search stuff to kind of filter through. So, and again, there's a lot of different reasons for that. I'm happy to explain that to people if you want to know more. But SEO is very valuable. It makes a big difference. So, really something to understand and think about. Again, the Google Keyword Planner, the question, how do I find data about keywords and keyword traffic, is the Google Keyword Planner. So if you're logged into your Google account, you can just search Google Keyword Planner, click on that. You might have to log in again with the same information for your Google account, but anybody can do it. And then you can start typing in keywords and seeing the actual volume of traffic and the competitive situation for those particular keywords. So very important. Everybody's got to know how to use this at this point. Here's sort of an example, what it kind of looks like. And so here's, average monthly traffic, like, or searches for the word coffee shop, right? It's huge, right? Everybody in the world is looking for coffee. So, but what are they typing in? Are they typing in coffee shop? Or are they typing in coffee near me, cafe near me, coffee shops near me? It matters, right? Every word or phrase is different. So, these are all the variations of the keyword coffee shop, and then it shows the competitive competition or competition score. Right here's low, 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 low. Coffee bar is high, but then low, 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 medium, low, low. So actually, it doesn't look like it's that hard to rank for coffee shop or coffee shop near me. However, then it's just competing with Starbucks and Pete's and all those guys. Anyway, but that's what the data from Google Keyword Planner gets you, and so then So I wanted to put this in here just so people can see what does do all these terms mean, right? So if people talk about display channel or direct or paid search, here's just some definitive definitions about each of these terms. So if you're going to hire a person that's going to help you with some of this, whether it's a consultant or an agency or an individual, whatever, these are some of the terms that you need to understand. And again, this affects SEO and search advertising and all sorts of things. So important to understand all this different kind of traffic sources for your website. Okay. So we're number 7, stay in touch with customers on social media. Let's see, we're getting a little short on time, so I'm going to kind of go through these. Email marketing. Again, email marketing in e-commerce is very, very important, especially automated email. If you look at that on the right side, the text, the second paragraph says tip, use automated email. Think about when you buy something on Amazon or Walmart.com or whatever, you're getting automated emails, right? That confirm your purchase, that thank you, that give you a receipt, that tell you how to return something, that show you the progress in the shipping, et cetera, et cetera. So these automated emails are very important. Advertising, right? We got to understand advertising to run our e-commerce store. We definitely need to be advertising digitally. And so, important to understand the different types of advertising. Just in Google, there's some important types. In one case here would be shopping ads. So if somebody goes into Google and types red rubber boots, and that's what you're selling, your shopping ad could come up and people could click right to it and buy, your product. So something to understand. There's also search ads. So you could do that. Lots and lots of different variations of these things. And then number 10 here is set up your analytics. Make sure you have Google Analytics on your website, whether it's your Shopify, whether it's any other platform. This is really essential, and to understand what's happening, things like when do your customers buy, what day are they buying, what time are they buying. These things are really important because that can drive how you are going to market, right? Important to know that in July 1st of this year, if you are using the original older version of Google Analytics at that time, which was called Universal. Now it doesn't work. As of July 1st, it doesn't work. And so you have to manually switch your Google account to GA4. That's the new Google platform. It's free, but you have to make this a manual switch. I show you, you can look on your website in the code and you can find out which one you use. The new GA4 has a G-7 numbers or letters, and then the old Universal would be UA-7 numbers or letters dash another number or letter. Okay, so a couple of really helpful links to learn what the differences are between the two platforms, because they are quite different. Learn more about it, and setting it all up and stuff like that. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you need help, let us know. Publish blog articles. So if you have blog articles are a great way to market. Again, help your customers understand your product, learn more about your company, learn more about, all sorts of good stuff. Really, really useful. And then, great tool to help you drive people back to your website, which is your number one or number two, maybe, marketing strategy, is to get people to your website. So you could put your blog articles in email, social media, and ads with a link back to your website. So very, very useful way of doing that. We want to make sure there are certain ways to reduce shopping cart abandonment. So there are some things here that are some good tips. I'm not going to go through each of these because I have a few more slides I want to get through before we run out of time. But when you are, this is a really important thing in e-commerce, because a lot of people will go through this process of selecting a product, putting it in their shopping cart, and then going, I don't think I'm going to actually buy it. And then they leave. But that's a really good opportunity to reach back out to these people and say, hey, you put in a pair of red rubber boots into your shopping cart. Hey, what if we give you 15% off that? Would you then want to buy it? That kind of stuff. So, so that's something to really kind of think about. A couple of sort of final tips. I thought this was kind of, I pulled this over from an earlier presentation. Some really important stuff about kind of social media, and therefore it's about e-commerce too, because e-commerce is all, tied into social media. So video is king, timing is important. We want to test everything and measure things, and that help us get better. We want to solicit and respond to online customer reviews. Very, very important. We want to show these reviews on our website. Really, really important. Use influencers and notable people to help sell your products. So spokespersons and endorsements, commercials, product trials or intros, etc. Really important. And then very important, use what's called UTM tracking codes. These are codes that help you identify and sort of quantify and qualify website visitors and their behavior and their demographics. It's really critical, because if you say, well, I'm doing email and social media and advertising, and I do some in-person events, and I sell on Amazon and my own website, and where am I getting the most bang for the buck? And you will not know unless you are using UTM tracking codes. So I would suggest that you at least understand what they are and start using those. So yep, I talked a little too much, but anyway, I wanted to sort of compare Wix and Shopify. I have some more information here that will be helpful for you. But the important thing to know about these is if you're going to do a product-based e-commerce store, so if you're selling clothes or home goods or tools or products of some sort, you probably want to use Shopify. It really is an e-commerce store first, and then you can build a simple website around it. But that's sort of the main thing, right? The only problem with Shopify is it does get expensive pretty quickly. Okay. So, but it sort of has everything you possibly need for your e-commerce business. So, it helps with shipping and payment and returns and all sorts of other things. Now, Wix, on the other hand, started out as more of a regular website builder and then built in a e-commerce store capability. So if you want a better, bigger website with more pages, with more other functionality, Wix is probably a better solution. Their e-commerce capabilities are terrific, and it's probably cheaper than Shopify. So that's probably the way you want to think about that. If you're more of like a services-based business, I would really go to the Wix side of things. We're partners with both companies, so we build lots of both of these kinds of websites, and that's sort of how we think about things. So here's just a little bit about kind of showing, this is sort of the Wix template. It shows, it's got shipping, taxes, payments, all sorts, everything you need. Very easy to use. Again, just a great platform. We love it. You can upload and you can just maintain a product database in like Excel and just upload it whenever you have changes to Wix and you're all done. Really, really easy to use. This is more what Shopify looks like. Again, more of a kind of a product focused system, but again, very, very good. It's, this is sort of the default of e-commerce engines. I mean, there are a couple others. There's WooCommerce and a couple other things, but Shopify is sort of is great. It's a very, very good platform. So here's kind of some of the pricing. I've got a link below to more information about the pricing to see kind of what's right for you. Sort of depends on how much you're going to sell. If you're just getting started, it's going to be cheap, but then the more sales you make, the more expensive it's going to get. Again, a couple of interesting alternatives here. Here's Wix pricing. Starts as low as like $16 a month for a website, but then to start selling things, it's got to be up to $27 or $32 a month. But again, pretty inexpensive compared to Wix, Shopify, it's a great website builder too. So that's Wix. Yeah, so that should be hopefully helpful for you. We have a lot of resources and tools for you. I would really recommend, if you're getting started with business or if you're not really doing too much digital marketing, this book on the right called Making Sense of Online Marketing from Constant Contact is fantastic. It's free. You don't have to sign up for anything. You can just click here and download it. And we also do free digital marketing consultations and free website audits and all sorts of stuff like that, if you are interested. Okay, Jenny, I
Yes,
kind of sped through the last bit of that. I apologize, but are there any questions?
there are indeed questions.
Okay.
So, a couple of kind of you've talked a little bit about decision making of what type of website, what type of platform to go through. So, the first one is wanting to know about comparing selling on social media versus selling products of a website. Could you clarify a little bit more about how you would make that decision between social media versus your own website?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you, first of all, you need a website no matter what. That's going to be how you build your brand. And you don't want to be stuck inside any individual social media platform. So, especially Facebook. Facebook is a great platform, but it is a walled garden. If you're in Facebook, that means you're nowhere else. So very important to understand that. And if you are planning on building a business that you're really going to try and grow and you're going to work on for years and years and years, hopefully, you really have to have a website. So, I sort of think of that as sort of non-negotiable. And I think you should think of it that way too. You could probably start off with selling on social media and kind of see how that goes. Um, but I just, and you may do quite well. But once you get to a point where you're selling and you're successful and making money, I would definitely go back and build the website. Okay, hope that helps.
Yes. Okay. And so now this time, so correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of businesses will use Shopify as their website, right? If they're a product focused business.
Yes.
Okay. So I know you talked about this some just a minute ago, but deciding to have your own website on which you sell products versus the Shopify website. I know you've mentioned some of this between Wix and Shopify, but kind of what would guide you the most in making that decision between some other kind of website and Shopify?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, the reason we recommend Wix is because it's a great platform and it doesn't require you to know coding. So if you're going to try use a WordPress website, you really have to know how to code because you're going to want to make changes to the website and updates, and WordPress websites require regular maintenance to the template, to the WordPress kernel, to the plugins. And if you don't do that regular maintenance, your website is going to break. So it's complicated, it's expensive, it's very customizable, and you can use Shopify on a WordPress website. We often recommend for smaller businesses, Wix is a great platform because you don't need to know how to code. So when we build Wix websites for our customers, and we've built well over 100 Wix websites over the last decade, we show them how to use Wix, how to make changes on a page or change an image, change a product, add a page here, whatever. And so that will save you a lot of money and there's no maintenance required. So it's much easier and it's much cheaper to use Wix. And so you could use the Shopify e-commerce engine on WordPress or Wix, but now they have their own website builder. So, I encourage people to keep things as simple as possible. Running a business is very difficult, and starting a business is easy. It's like, hey, I'm going to sell these things. Great, right. Running a business is very difficult. Getting employees, products, shipping, selling, tax, all the other million things you got to do to run a business. So keep things as simple as possible. Keep things as inexpensive as possible. So if you really want to use the Shopify e-commerce engine, why not just use the Shopify website builder? And then you're keeping all of your products with one family. That's why what we say with Wix, and if you want to use the Wix e-commerce engine, that's great because they're going to play well together, right? So my recommendations are just trying to keep things as simple as possible.
Thank you. So I know we are at time. Do you have time to continue with questions or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
great. And for anybody watching who needs to head off at this point, we will send out a link to the recording within the next few days, along with these links that Erik has been sharing during the presentation for you in a resource guide. So you can look for those things in your inbox coming up soon. And I apologize, we've had some hiccups with our email system getting these out, but I think we've got them all figured out. And so hopefully this one goes off without a hitch. Okay, so next question then. As far as keywords go and selecting keywords, are there any costs associated with specific keywords?
No, there are no costs. You can use any words you want, and any words that are any words can be keywords. There's not sort of a pre-designated set of words that you have to use or anything like that. And no, there are no costs to focusing on any keywords. That's a really good question, actually.
Thank you. All right. The next question is, this attendee is looking to sell clothes online. And as this person starts their e-commerce business, they're wondering if they should set up shipping locally, like for their state and city only, or would you recommend just starting out with national shipping or even international shipping, all of it? What do you recommend as far as those stages of shipping to choose?
Yeah, I don't know. That's another good question. I think if you're going to be doing a lot of like in-person marketing kind of thing in the beginning, it may be okay to do more of a local or regional kind of shipping, but the challenge is, what are you going to do when somebody from outside of that region says, I'd like to buy something, how much is this going to cost? So you're gonna need, the thing with the internet is that anybody can find your website, and it's and you want that, right? You want people to find your website, but you also, they may come from wherever, and you will find that you don't want to turn down any customers. So you'll need some sort of solution. You could always say that we're shipping within New York State is free, and then if you're out of state, there will be an X dollar cost or something like that. You could try that, but you might get some angry customers. They don't expect that kind of thing, and so you're going to have to deal with this sooner than later. So you should probably think about how to work nationally, at least.
Excellent. So this next question, this person is wondering about collaborative online connections with local community people and businesses. Have you seen situations where that's worked well for e-commerce businesses?
I can't say that I've really seen any examples of that, but in my area, in the capital region, I think it's a good idea. I do think that, if you're a local, you're focusing locally, like in the capital region, for example, or New York City or something like that, find people that are, somewhat well known in those areas and, approach them and say, hey, I see you have a big following on social media and you're promoting other products, would you be interested in promoting my product? And tell, the when it comes to influencers, you have to ask them, right? And they may say, sure, I'll offer your product, but I want this in return, right? So it may be an outright payment to them. It may be, a discount on your product if they pay for it, or a commission, or something else, right? So you are going to need to compensate people like that somehow, and most likely it's going to be, straight out payment, especially for bigger ones. And if you start to get to the real big ones, like, Kim Kardashian or something like that, I mean, it's literally going to be millions of dollars you're going to have to pay her to, sell your products.
Right. So can we talk payment processors for a minute? How do the payment processors work with these platforms? Do you choose one? And if you do, what do you have a recommendation for a particular payment processor?
Yeah, there's all sorts of payment processors out there. I mean, you can, some are digitally native, so meaning they're digitally first. So like PayPal and Square and things like that. Apple Card, or whatever they call it. Things like that. So, those companies will have benefits, because they're native first. But you may have a relationship, like you might have a banking relationship with Bank of America or something, a big bank, and you may just be able to use their payment system. So, for example, like Heartland Payments, a lot of people use Heartland Payments. That's not a native digital platform. That's a real world credit card transaction processing company that's been around forever. And they have an e-commerce solution. All the big ones do now. So if you do not already have a relationship, I would reach out to Square and PayPal and those kinds of companies and just, ask them for a quote. Say, this is what I'm going to do. They're part of it is just they're going to go through their background check and their credit check and all that sort of stuff, and they're going to provide you some sort of offer in terms of what they're going to charge you for transaction costs, and then you can make a decision between, I would get a couple quotes so that you see, but the small local banks probably aren't going to be able to help you that much. So I would really suggest thinking about, doing like a Square or PayPal or, one of the really big online payment processing systems.
And so those integrate with Shopify and Wix then, if people are
Yes.
using those services? Okay,
Yes.
excellent. We have an attendee who is setting up a consultancy and wants to know if you have seen online offers that have successfully been used to gain clients, like a free introductory exploratory session or something along those lines. If somebody's looking to do a little bit more on the service side, what are some of those offers that you've seen successfully used?
Yeah, that's a great question. When it comes to services, part of what you are offering, you can offer in a sort of free consultation or because you want to get in front of that customer, right? You want to be able to talk to that customer or meet them. So doing some sort of free analysis or giving them some sort of, white paper or guide or something like that can be helpful so that they understand your approach, your expertise, your experience. These people are also going to want social proof. So they are going to want to know, from other customers, what do they say about you? So having some testimonials, having, maybe video testimonials, maybe it's case studies, depending on what type of consulting you're doing, that shows your process, that shows, how successful you've been for other customers and how and what have been the results of your consulting. Those are all kinds of things that are really important when it comes to consulting. And I know that's hard when you're just starting a business like that, but that's where sort of the thought leadership comes in. The white papers, the graphics, like the model that you use of your process, or things like that are really important. So people can understand your knowledge, your expertise, your experience, your education, your training, all that sort of stuff.
Thank you. Could we have you go back to that, the slide that has the click here links? Somebody wanted to know exactly what those were again. So
Yeah.
do you mind going through what those are again?
Yeah. So we like I said, we're partners with Constant Contact and with Shopify and a couple other companies. And so we have a page on our website that we've sort of collected all these types of ebooks like this, like Making Sense of Online Marketing. And so we just have a page full of those that you can click and download. And so you just click on this page and you'll go to our website to that particular page. We also do free marketing consultations. So if you want to schedule a half hour or an hour to talk to me, either remotely or in person, I'm happy to do that. And then we also do free website audits. So if you have a website and you say, is this a good website? How can I improve it? Then you can request a free website audit, and we'll go through and kind of analyze your website, review it, tell you sort of, we do this image below that shows part of one of the tools, shows the dashboard of one of the tools that we use, and it rates all these different areas. So this is one of the things that we do, in website audits, because it's a lot more than just us looking at your website going, it's pretty nice. That doesn't really help anybody. So we dig into some really specific areas, as you can see, and we give you specific ratings, and we give you specific suggestions, and tell you how to make improvements on your website, because every website can be improved. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Wonderful. So our last question for today then. So I know this hasn't been as much the focus today, but this person has the ear of an expert at the moment. So I did want to ask this question. Okay. So what platform would you recommend for a startup service-based business? As far as there are lots of options, what recommendations do you have for that type of business?
Yeah, I would go with the Wix website. Again, we have built websites in every platform out there. Again, we've been in business since 2005, so it's coming up on 20 years of business, and we just know that Wix is the best platform out there when it comes to non-programming websites, right? Meaning you can just create a website without knowing any program, right? It has everything you need. Our website is built in Wix. Like I said, we've built over 100 Wix websites, e-commerce and not e-commerce. It's just the best one. We built or updated a website in Squarespace just a couple months ago, and we ran into all sorts of limitations in terms of, we said, well, let's build this. And then we're like, Squarespace doesn't do that. So, we've pushed the limit on all these kinds of things. We built them in GoDaddy's website builder, Squarespace, Weebly. I don't know if there aren't any other real big ones out there, but they're just not as good as Wix. Now, again, the other alternative is WordPress, and again, it's great if you're a big company and you want some very specific designs or really specific functionality. WordPress is good because you can literally do anything you want with it, but it's expensive because you have to maintain it. You have to pay a programmer to maintain it. So you're incurring costs that really aren't doing anything for you, right? You're just going to pay money to maintain a website. Unless you know how to code, you're not going to be able to make changes to your website yourself. So again, you're going to constantly be paying a programmer to make those changes or additions or whatever. And so, that's why we're just not that high on WordPress websites. And, some people demand them, say, this is the only thing I want my website built in. Okay, well, we'll build it for you in that. That's fine. But, we'll see you soon, and we feel bad about people having to do that. We know that the best websites out there are changing, right? That you're adding new information, you're adding blog posts, you're putting new offers on, you're adding more information, changing things, and that's the way it should be, right? And so that's why we're just a big fan of Wix. We just think it's a great platform, easy to use, very powerful. Again, we haven't really found any limitations that have turned us off to it.
So we do have a question about getting in touch with you. So would you like to go back to that slide so people can see that?
Yep.
And I know that okay, great. So we've got his website and the email address to reach him at there.
My phone is there. My LinkedIn profile is there. I'm pretty easy to find. So that's actually my cell phone. So you can even text me.
Okay.
And our offices are in downtown Troy. We're in this place called the Troy Innovation Garage. For anybody that's familiar with Troy, really neat co-working space. So we're all based around here. So yeah, love to chat with anybody.
Wonderful. And do you have time for one last question? We had a good one come in at the last second here. Yep. Okay. So what are the securities with these online payment services for companies like Wix? How do they handle security? And, are there any things to be aware of on that issue?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the good reasons to use a bigger company for your payment platform. So, using a Square or a PayPal, that's one of the real advantages of using those kinds of companies, is because, they're going to guarantee the security of their payments and the data of, transactions and all that sort of stuff. So, for security's sake, I really would suggest just use Square or PayPal, and go with that, go with the bigger one, and take advantage of their security, their services, and their good interoperability with other things. So you want, for example, your transaction platform to connect with your accounting system, right? Whether you use QuickBooks or any of the other online systems like that, accounting systems, so Square and PayPal, those are super easy to connect with those kinds of systems. So you can send all your data to your accountant so they can do your tax returns and all that sort of stuff, and your tax filings and stuff like that. So, I would just go with one of those. Get a couple of quotes, call up Square, call up PayPal, or apply online and get a quote from them, and whichever's better for you. I would go with that.
All right, Erik, thank you again. You've been so generous with your time throughout this series. We really, really appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody who attended today and had such great questions. Thank you.
And
Remember,
thank you, Jenny, for being a great host. You do a great job. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. So please remember that you will receive a follow-up email in the next couple of days with a link to the recording and a PDF of resources with some of these links that Erik has been talking about today. We kindly ask you to take a few minutes to give us feedback in the webinar survey that displays after this webinar and is linked in that follow-up email, if you have those few minutes to spare. All right, if you have questions, please reply to that email. You can also get in touch with Erik, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye, all.
Bye-bye, everybody.